This is a conversation with Leon Lim, CEO and founder of Groundup.ai, creator of the world's first agentic AI for cognitive maintenance, a former National Youth Orchestra musician turned tech entrepreneur. Leon now applies his ear for sound to AI during predictive maintenance. I loved how he turns his music intuition into technology that transforms how industries anticipate machines' failures. Great. Very nice to meet you, Leon. Thank you very much for joining the Humans and AI show. So I've been checking a little bit your background as well. You're the CEO founder of Grown Up AI. I found something very interesting in you. It's like you were a musician. You were a teacher, a music teacher, and at the same time a performer performing in orchestra. So how that beginning of your kind of career or your background lead you to be now the founder of a deep tech company? This is very it looks very different, but I think and I believe that there's so many things in common. So I would like you to share a little bit about it.
Cool. Firstly, thanks for having me. I appreciate it also. Yes, there's the saying that eventually you'll find out what you want to do in life. Now, when you're young, you don't really know what you want to do, so you just try everything. So it happened that music stuck for me. So I've been a musician. I played a French horn quite a bit. Yeah, I played on a pretty okay level. I was representing the National Youth Orchestra back then as the principal horn for a couple of years. Yeah, and I nearly studied music as a profession. Typical Asian parents, right? They will beat you into studying something that's not art because there's no in inverted commerce future, which I disagree. But anyway, so I just took the path. Yeah, so I went to NUS and studied business. So the dots connected many years later when I'm doing Groundup AI. Because we were, before Groundup AI, my company now, I was running a crypto mining data center, right? So I was doing it. So I was one of those guys, right? We built those data centers, put all the mining rigs inside and keep mining crypto, right? So I was doing it quite at scale, to be fair, like 3,000 mining rigs. Yeah, and it grew quite out of control. Just a couple of us running a global data center operation. We have to maintain high uptime and everything. So we had to find a way how to stop breakdowns from happening. Yeah, because you can imagine different mining rigs, there's different sounds that's being produced, the fan sound, speed sound, everything. Yeah. The point is the uptime was very low, right? The rigs were mining only at 60%. We want to get it to near 100%. So we decided to put some sensors to detect some form of failure before the thing actually failed. Yeah, so it started with that. So I blended in my music background into that because I was quite sensitive to certain sounds, right? So if the rigs were not mining optimally, right, sometimes there's a fan blade that chipped and it spun inside the thing. Yeah, so I picked that out quite easily and it was quite annoying for me. It was okay for my friends and co-founder who was running it with me. It's not okay for me, but that serves as a good thing because that was the gauge of the rig starting to spoil. Yeah, so it was predictive in nature. We just have to pick it out as early as possible. Yeah, and Leon can't be everywhere, so we have to use sensors to pick out the sounds. So it started from that. Yeah, sound detection based predictive maintenance, we call it. Yeah.
That's what you are doing with grown up AI instead of fixing the problem, you are doing the maintenance that you don't get to have the problem. I also realized I noticed that you're very good with sounds because also with my accent, that's the first thing that you asked me too. So I'm like, yeah, you've got to have a very good ear. And I think that's music for sure. You need to have a good ear for music. Would you mind sharing with us what's your biggest transition from the crypto mining to funding this deep tech startup that you are doing right now?
Yeah, so there's the good part and the bad part of it. Yeah, so I'll share the good part first, right? We can leave the bad part for later. So the good thing is this is my third company. So I was running a startup before that also. So before my crypto mining, I was doing this freelance portal whereby we help freelancers to find businesses for jobs. That's literally what I was doing. It was my first startup. In the end, I sold it to a Japanese PE firm. Yeah. But when we wanted to transition from crypto mining into Groundup AI, the challenge was not that difficult. What was more difficult was on trying to convince people that this technology should work in your workplace. So we tried many different industries, right? The one that actually beat the first, surprisingly, was the Singapore Navy. So our first client for Groundup AI is actually probably the largest organization in Singapore, which is the Defense Force. Yeah, so they needed something that, defense, right? So you always want to be extra careful. You want to make sure that your ships are running 24/7, operationally ready, right? Very different from music. You can have a lot of downtime in music, I believe, but military is different. So the use case happened to match what we were offering. So I guess that's yeah. Eventually we solved it lah. So we transitioned quite smoothly into Groundup AI after that. Yeah.
Great, because I found it such a different thing. You've got a very rich background and career because you've done so many things. So it's kind of, I found it very interesting. And you look so pretty young. So I'm like, wow, that's impressive. Leon, what you guys are doing with Grown-up AI, it's related with cognitive maintenance, right? That you call it like that. So what does that mean to you on a human level beyond the tech?
Maybe I can share a bit about how this industry started. So not just how I started. Yeah, before we came into the picture, before we started to work with all these infrastructure folks, defense, factories, ports, right? So before we came into the picture, they were doing it in a very traditional way. Like maintenance hasn't changed for like the past 30 years or something, right? It's always time based, which is you check it on a regular basis, right? Every week you go and check your machines, right? But then it's still spoil, right? So they do all these rigorous checks weekly and it's still spoil. So it's like human health, right? You exercise so much and then you still fall sick. So you start to wonder, should I exercise? Things like that. Yeah. So before we came in, it's just like that, right? Companies use some form of technology, right? Very manual handheld tools, right? They go to the ground, then they scan the different machine, pick up the machine health, right? So that was the state of maintenance before we came in, right? At most, you will implement some IoT sensors. So you put some sensors on the machine, you collect some data. Yeah. So before we entered the picture, it was just like that. Yeah. So when we speak to all the clients, they came to us, they say that I have this bunch of data. The vendor that sold me said it was predictive maintenance, but it's not very predictive because I only have data. I collect a lot of this data and I don't really know what to do with it. Yeah. So for us, we just came in and tried to make sense of all these data using AI as much as possible. Yeah. So we stitched the pieces together, right? Really not just from our sensors, but from the internal machines alarms, for example, their workflow, right? Their machine manuals, right? To form a complete picture of what a machine looks like, a machine health. Yeah. So to us, that's cognitive maintenance. It's one step ahead of predictive maintenance. Definitely one step of the time-based maintenance that was being done like since 30 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So I also, for what I've seen, you guys are focused on East Asia and Middle East. I don't know if you also want to focus on in Europe or US or how it goes that.
Yeah. Right now, to be fair, we go where the market needs us very quickly. Yeah. So Southeast Asia, that's where I live. So we're in Indonesia as well. The demand is high. Yeah, people always think Indonesia it's low cost market, right? So people just hire labor and stuff. Not true. They are quite forward thinking, to be fair. So they want to put some technologies to prevent breaking down also. So we are in Indonesia. Middle East because they got a lot of money. They invest in a lot of capex, build nice airports, right? Stadiums. The train station looks amazing. It looks like a piece of art. So they spend a lot of capex over the past decade or so, right? Trying to revolutionize the region. But in terms of maintenance and keeping the operations running smoothly, probably not there yet. So when we presented our case, we said that this is what we can help. So it's a demand pool, right? They call us back. You know, if we can't fly down often enough, they get unhappy, which is a good sign, right? As a startup. Yeah. That means there's some form of buy-in. Yeah. So that's the plan, right? We are just dominating the region as much as we can. Next year we are looking at a few other regions also. So now we are starting, right? Speaking to UK, right? Still a very good market. I have friends from UK coming to Asia. I say that I'm going to UK. Yeah, I think Europe is something that we want to do. And I was at McLaren last year actually in UK. I was at the McLaren factory where they make the cars, the racing cars. Very cool. So I respect the technology that is there. I think they're all smart people, right? So they also want to have the latest technology together with them. Yeah. So it's in the roadmap for sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah. You said in one of your posts on social media, you said that we race around the machines are nervous, the humans are happy. What do you mean with the machines are nervous? I would like to understand that a bit more.
Because with us, right, the machines have to work even harder. They don't get to take a break, right? So the more the machines work, the worse it is for them in a way, right? If they had emotion, they wouldn't like it, but it's good for the human. right? Because human with us around, there's really much less manual work they have to do, right? So I have one client that also say that it's not just money ROI, right? Less breakdown, things like that. By implementing this remote sensing technology, actually work becomes safer because maintenance is quite dangerous. Sometimes you got to climb to the top very high to open like a small little motor to check, right? Or you got to open like a black box taking tools and stuff. And sometimes it's quite heavy, so you got to lug things around. It's bad for your posture. Yeah. So with us, it's better for the humans for sure. Yeah, and we like to make machines work harder anyway. So always a good thing.
Yeah. So you saw, I've also checked, I kind of research you a little bit. Not you, I mean your
Wow.
company.
Okay.
No, not you. Like in Groundup AI, you guys launched the world's first agentic AI, the words, no words, sorry. The world's first agentic AI for industrial maintenance. So that's what I saw it for, like it was a week ago. How's been the feedback since you guys launched that?
Wow, it's I would say it's better than expected because what we do usually it takes time for people to understand. Industrial move a little bit slower, right? For this case, when we launched it, it was actually a pull from the client base, right? So before that, we were just implementing sensors, right? Taking the sensors and trying to study the patterns that come with it, right? So the clients were the one that say that why not you just build something that combines all the existing data that they have, right? So not just our sensors, not just their sensors, but combine things like the machine manuals, workflow, basically to synchronize everything such that you can close the loop lah, all the way from detecting an error on the machine, all the way until sending someone down to fix it at a good tandem, at a good timing. Yeah, and then the machine runs smoothly again. Yeah, so we're trying to automate this whole process such that there's no human intervention at all. Yeah, the robot does the whole prompting, the robot does the whole learning. The robot is smart enough to say that this is the exact problem, the root cause analysis. So you don't have to go down to the ground to try to have the root cause analysis anyway. Yeah, so we call that the world's first agentic AI for our specific use case, which is maintenance. Yeah. And the turnout
Great.
is good. Yeah.
Yeah, so great. What is your thoughts about humans in the loop?
Oh, for us, we have to use humans somehow. Yeah. But okay, how we look at it is humans shouldn't be doing laborious work, right? Humans should be what we call benchmarks. That means humans are supposed to set benchmarks, set the standards of the outcome. That's what we always try to educate our clients to do. So it's not so much taking away the job is one thing, right? Automating them away, this and that, maintenance, cool. But really, even if robots can repair the machines today, which they can't for now, right? But I believe very soon it will. Right? Even if robots can repair the machine, someone has to set a certain benchmark, like what is considered a good repair, right? What is considered a good maintenance benchmark? Yeah, what are the standards that people follow, like ISO standards? Yeah, so human has to come into the loop definitely to manage that part of it. Yeah, and because of that, I think humans should spend way more time thinking about standards of excellence, benchmarks. Should we create new benchmarks when robots come about? Rather than think of, oh, I fear that maybe my job is lost. Yeah. If the humans can upgrade quickly within this span of 2 to 3 years when it's still moving so fast, I think it'll be good for humans. We make the robots work harder, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What's your take on the rights of AI and machines? Should AI have human rights under any circumstances, or the when because you said that you're automating things, right? Like you want everything's done by robots. Then yeah, what is the human a part of, like sometimes can overlook things, but what else can humans do then?
What do humans do? Humans should do work that robots can't do. Socialize, set standards. Yeah, I don't think robots can set standards as easily as human, to be fair. Because humans come in, we can argue that we know what we want, what we don't want, but humans have a certain benchmark in our head, right? We read, we start to understand. We use robots to help us to set standards in our head. I think that's how we do it, right? And then we tell the robots, hey, go and implement this, right? Complete the task, complete the whole chain of tasks in the future. Yeah, whether they should have human rights, wow, this one is a. But I think people who use robots should pay taxes. Yeah, as more and more people automate their factories, their workplace, ports, everything, right? Yeah, I think there has to be a system whereby the robots get taxed somehow. Because if you remove all the labor, nobody's going to pay tax for the country. Yeah. So that's yeah, I think more about this economic factor rather than the emotional factor of it for now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good insight that you have that who's gonna pay taxes if that robots are gonna do the whole job, the whole work of everybody. This is a very good insight actually. I never thought about it. But yeah, this is very interesting because I feel like in your opinion and your kind of experience, what do you think is gonna be the future of just humans, like for example, for 5 years now? Because imagine that everything like you guys are doing is automating the whole thing, right? With robots. And I know that Asia, like Singapore, China, all those robots are booming there. What do you think? What are going to happen to the humans apart of socializing? Because what we need to, how are we going to make money, for example?
I just came back from the Canton Fair in Guangzhou, right? It's superb, man. Like everyone in the world, regardless whether you're east, west, north, south, you just have to go there once and have a look at all the technology that is there, right? They typically show, I would say not the latest because there's always a secret, but very close to the latest technology. Yeah, and there's an entire big hall, right, that is just robotics, right? Smart robots doing stuff for human, carrying boxes, security patrol, right? So they have a human and like a couple of robots walking behind the human, like the R2D2, like a robot from Star Wars, right? Just following the human. And of course the robo doggies. Yeah, so I think that will be the future. I actually don't think much will change. Maybe because I live in the future. Like my brain, I'm really living in the future. So if you ask me 5 years later, I'm like, I think I'm living in 2030 already anyway. So I already picture myself living there. Yeah, so I don't think that's much of a change. The behaviors will be the same. Maybe lifestyle a bit different. Yeah, so for the patterns that has changed, last time we go school, we always have to go school. Then suddenly there's hybrid learning. And now hybrid learning is here to stay. So there's studying from home. There's also, but the studying behavior doesn't change. We still have to go through that. Yeah, but the lifestyle, how we lead the life, there's like video calls. There's kids learn coding as young as 5 years old nowadays. Yeah, so I think the way we do it will definitely change. Yeah, but the behavior, like the things that we go through in life, we still have to go to school. Even if you have to put a chip into the brain one day, someone has to program the chip. Someone educated have to do go through that process anyway. Yeah. So I don't think it will change. Like we still have to eat. Maybe your food gets made by a robot that can cook your fried rice or something. Cook your nice tacos. I don't yeah, but you still have to eat. It doesn't change. The behavior doesn't change primarily. I always tell people don't need to be too afraid, like robots take away everything. Some parts you still have to you still have to lead your life as per normal. But what you have to do is to think whether the job that you're doing now will be taken away by robots. Yeah, and then you try to select that. So live in the future first, then think that okay, 5 years later, what are the jobs that robot will easily take away? Yeah, especially manual labor is something that is for sure is going to be gone. The lower chunk of the white collar work, I think it'll be gone also. To be fair, ChatGPT and the competitors will take all those jobs away. So it means that by default, the society has leveled up one level, right? Because previously we need to hire market research interns, right? Now you don't have to hire any in like market research anymore. You just use ChatGPT, Perplexity. You can get your market research half an hour. So you see, like the whole society deleted this job called market research, which means everybody has to level up. Not a bad thing for society. We just have to keep up. So the behavior still is the same. You still have to work. It's just a different sort of work. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there as well, people must be more kind of proactive to build something like as same as you say, in marketing research is or market research is so easy now with ChatGPT, but
Mm.
then also building companies also way easier because well you've got companies who automates like some startups that automate the whole thing that you need from for example tech. You also don't even need a techie anymore as much as before that you need for example for a company to run and to be successful, you need like maybe 100 engineers.
Mm.
Now, for example, how many people do you have in your startup?
Yeah, so that's a good one. Right? Like previously, when I was still young, like Yahoo still alive, right? Then to build like a website, you got to buy servers. You got to buy physical servers and then you host it within the server. And then there's automation technology for the servers that enable us to do what we do today. So we can do video call online. So in a span of 20 years, but the behavior doesn't change. That means people still need to build stuff. I think that's human nature. Naturally, you want to create. right? Just that the mode of doing it last time, like a lot of jobs go into setting up physical servers when Cisco was still the king back then. Yeah, so you buy servers, stack servers, but now it's still the job of creation, but the roles that we do are different. There's way more like online creators now compared to last time. Yeah, but who knows, man? Maybe yeah, online creator job maybe I wouldn't say taken away, but half automated. Yeah. But the behavior is still the same. That means people still want to be influenced. People still want to listen. People still want to learn. That's the good thing about human nature. Yeah.
Hopefully it keeps going like that like this way. You never know.
Yes.
So, Leo, do you have any builder or a leader in AI that you either in your industry or another industry that you kind of admire or you follow their steps somehow? They help you to keep pushing in your own startup.
I'm I'm quite old school though, so I follow the old guys. Yeah. I know there's a lot of cool people right now. Yeah, but I follow like Masayoshi Son. I really like him a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of hate towards the guy for WeWork, right? Botched a lot of money, right? Put so much money in WeWork, then he failed. But if you look at that guy, he has picked up on every single technology trend and picked the winner, which means he knew where the technology was going. He had the guts to go and execute it successfully somehow. Yeah, at every single wave. So all the way from the PC trend, which he picked up, he was the number one back then, right? SoftBank, they created PC, the trend in Japan, then they expanded, then they were in technology events, then he was the number one. Essentially, they started Yahoo also. He was the first big investor to believe in Yahoo when they were just almost nobody. Right. So it keeps stacking and then Alibaba, things like that. So there's all this use case that he's been doing. ARM, when he bought it 10 years ago, the chip technology company in UK, like he just acquired the whole thing. Everybody was talking trash, saying that what for you buy this not very profitable company, right? But he saw the vision, like 10 years vision. So I would I like it so much, man. The vision of buying ARM to understand what's going on in the chip market, because that's where the future is. So when he listed ARM again, of course I bought into it because I like the future. I like the guy that is very involved in this. Yeah, so I'm quite old school. I follow folks that I call them the movers of the industry, so they know where it's going. Yeah.
That's great. Thankfully, I knew kind of not know in person, but I hear about them as well for sure. So, I kind of check in some of your social media talking a lot about Industry 5.0. What does
Mhm.
it mean that? Tell me a little because I know that you love the future, so I think that you're already living the future. So share a little bit of that future.
Yeah, so Industry 5.0, it's when humans don't have to do grunt work anymore. Yeah, there's a digital divide, right? So on one hand, folks like us, we try to build technologies, everything, right? And then if you really connect with the ground guys, like people who are in factories, in ports, right? There's quite a disconnect there, right? A lot of it is still very laborious. A lot of it is still you have to physically be down. Yeah. So a question, for example, right, as a case study, we always ask ourselves, why do people still have to go up to the wind turbines and maintain and clean them? It's so big, it's so high, it's so dangerous, but people are still doing it. Yeah. So Industry 5.0 is when those jobs that are doing that will just disappear. Yeah. So industry, the past era is when people try to collect as much data as possible. 10 years ago, right, everybody was obsessed with collecting data, right? IoT sensors or like Google, who has the most data, right? I want to snoop in your emails, I want to snoop in your chats. So all this data has become stale because people collect too much of this data and you don't really make full use of it. So Industry 5.0 is the era whereby people finally start to see the light. That is not so much about collecting all this data, right? It's how do I use all this data to create actionable insights that can help to solve real world problems. Yeah, so that's the reason why I'm so excited because we are moving past the stage of, hey, let's massively collect data, right? And usually the giants will win this game, right? Because they got so much money to invest, right? They will build infrastructure, they'll collect as much data, and then they will think, okay, maybe next time then I will find a way how to use the data properly. Yeah, but now is the time. So Industry 5.0 is where if you're smart, there's a chance for you to fight. I love it.
Yes, I believe that you really live in the future already because honestly, I haven't heard about this industry 5.0 at all. That's such a interesting topic to talk about. So thanks for sharing. So, Neil, I've got a last question for you, and it's what do you look for in the next generation of AI founders?
Wow. I look for that's a good one. Haven't really thought of it that way. I think the maybe I start with the problem. Okay, it's like the problem of a lot of founders, not just AI founders, but okay, people who are building AI technology, right? Is they start with the solution and they try to look for a problem. All right, so they will take like the latest LLM from Quen, right? And then they will say that, okay, what can I build that is useful out of this technology? So they end up building like cool technology, which could work, but then they don't have a real world use case that they can use this technology to solve. So after a while, they will give up, right? Because there's nothing to solve. You get bored, right? You're not helping someone, so naturally you just give it up. So I see that as the number one problem. In fact, I see it in a couple of startup pitches. It always seems that's the case. They will take some new technology that the giants develop, try to wrap it up in a wrapper, like a GPT wrapper, and then they will say that, okay, I'm trying to solve this problem. Yeah. I think it's the other way around. I'm a believer of solving something that you are familiar with. Yeah, so you got to know what the problem is first, and then you consider, can AI really help this thing? Is AI an enabler? Is AI the root cause that can solve this, or is it just a for sure thing? Yeah, so we need to avoid those scenarios.
Great, thanks for sharing. Thank you very much for your time for this very interesting conversation that I really believe now that I'm as well living in the future after getting to know these new technologies. So thank you, Leon, for your time. Thank you very much for joining Humans
Thank
on
you
Air
so much.
podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Humans and AI podcast. We are here to spotlight the people making AI more human, one story at a time. See you in the next episode.